leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC with Clive Bull. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC.
LBC, I'm Clive Bull. We're continuing straight on with our coverage of the election of President-to-be Donald Trump. One of the biggest political upsets in living memory, if not the biggest, I would suggest. Lots of questions coming out of this. We're asking particularly why it happened. Is it the equivalent of Brexit in this country? Why did the polls get it so wrong? And the other question we're going to address right now is, where did Hillary go wrong? What happens next for the Democrats? 0345 6060 973 is the number. If you'd like to join in, you can also text 84850 and tweet at LBC. Joining us next is Robert Weiner in Washington, former spokesman for the Clinton and Bush White Houses, who was at Democrat National Headquarters last night. Robert, hello to you.
Hi, Clive. How are you? Our little foray last night as I did the election watch at Democratic National Headquarters was everybody was roused and cheering as the beginning we had 8 states to Trump's 7, and then, of course, by the end of the night it was a morgue, and it was really quite depressing. But, you know, life goes on. As I just told your producer, nobody died in my family.
Well, no, but it looked like somebody had. And actually, Hillary, she looked devastated in her concession speech.
She gave a very gracious and powerful concession speech. You know, all 3 major speeches since the defeat have virtually been the same. Obama's and Trump's and Hillary's all talked about the need for unity and inclusion. So maybe they got the memo, but it's a little...
Let's hope they mean it. So why was she, in the end, so unpopular? Do you think, really, hand on heart, she was the wrong candidate?
Well, when you say unpopular, of course, she won the popular vote, but the path that Trump
not
used...
Not popular enough.
But let me... I wrote up some notes. Why did Hillary lose? Because blacks didn't vote for her in as high a turnout as Obama, the first African-American president. Because she didn't effectively target youth. Bernie's kids didn't come out for her. Hillary never gave the forceful speech with the major points that she needed to youth. Because of the Comey letter, which was so inappropriate for the FBI director to stick his finger into the election, you know, a week in front and then sort of confuse the issue more at the very end of about the emails. Because Gary Johnson took 2 to 4% in every state, and those were Hillary voters. And most, to your point, Clive, she was a flat campaigner. She was not good. She herself said that she wasn't a Bill Clinton or a Barack Obama on the campaign trail, and she never could make her points forcefully, effectively, with sound bites, and cogently with enthusiasm.
So are the Democrats kicking themselves, though, that, you know, up against Donald Trump, who was equally quite unpopular, you know, if you'd put anybody else up, you would have walked it. You had the wrong candidate.
Well, you could say that about Trump, too. Anybody would have got... Both candidates had such enormous negatives. But what I found interesting in the exit polls was, despite the fact that people by 63 and 61% thought that Trump was not the quality for president and didn't have the temperament for president, their anger and their desire for change was 83%. So there was that 20% plus factor on the desire for change, and it was very difficult for Hillary to portray herself as change when her strongest argument was, I had 30 years of experience. And Trump was the first candidate with no political or military background.
Yeah. And so what is next for the Democrats? You're going to have to find somebody who will represent change. I mean, people have been talking about Michelle Obama, but she wouldn't represent change, would she?
She was very powerful on the campaign trail, wasn't she? You know, Elizabeth Warren is a very powerful person. I remember discussing with Hillary's top team, Bernie we didn't think was going to be a particular problem, but if Elizabeth Warren had run in the primary, she might have blazed through, and it might have been a serious issue. She is a very powerful speaker. So we have a bench, and we have powerful people like that. And nothing would scare the financial institutions more than the major traditional players than Elizabeth Warren, who they tried to keep out of being the Consumer Financial Agency director, and so she became a senator and ran and won, and now she's on the Financial Committee. So that's one option. But we have a lot of good players out there. I just think that this was a tragedy for the country to have a guy who dissed everybody. You remember the British Parliament had an entire day about how inappropriate, how horrible his statements were, and how they didn't want him to come over to London. There was an entire day of your Parliament having what we in the United States Congress call a special order, but you had a special day in Parliament devoted to it. And yet there he is. He's the President of the United States.
Well, yes, all of which, again, makes me think, well, the Democrats have messed up here, that you should have chosen somebody else.
Well, and then who? Because Biden, for all of his revisionist speaking now, and I love the guy. I was in his kitchen when he first ran for Senate, and we're friends. But, he's renowned for his babbling, long, incoherent speeches, and he did the plagiarism when he ran for president, and he's gotten beaten every time. So, I mean, it's everybody thinks they look good in retrospect, but the reality is that Hillary had such a wonderful record of starting with kids and families and voter registration of African Americans versus Trump's kind of background when he kept blacks out of housing. And so there was no reason for her to lose other than she was a bit of a flat campaigner and an outstanding, brilliant governing person. But that doesn't get you there in the campaign.
No. What about Bernie Sanders then? Could he have done it?
Well, Bernie's argument was that he did better in the polling, but I just think that when the campaign came out, Bernie's a socialist, and they would have been shown the hammer and sickle in the ads against him, and it would have been a real disaster for us. And I think the American people weren't ready for a socialist in America, at any rate, to be president. So Bernie will be the chairman of the Budget Committee. Well, he won't be chairman. Nobody's going to be chairman. He's going to be the ranking Democrat. I forgot. We didn't take the Senate because, you know what surprised people too, Clive? Trump had coattails, and everybody thought he'd be under the ticket.
Yep.
But he carried the Senate so that they didn't lose power and lose control of the Senate. Because people actually don't ticket split when it all is said and done. Less than 10% of people ticket split. So Trump actually carried, and now Reince Priebus, the head of the RNC, looks like a brilliant guy who will probably bring in and maybe be chief of staff. He'll bring Christie in with his legal problems and do something. He'll bring Giuliani in with the fact that Giuliani suggested somebody a long time ago to the Homeland Security who was convicted of bribery. And had to be withdrawn. I mean, everybody forgets the bad parts of all of the Trump people's baggage. Christie's got Bridgegate, which was horrible. And so now Trump gets to name his cabinet, and probably the Democrats are so nice, we're not like the Republicans, we'll probably confirm his people.
And, of course, we've had all the nice conciliatory speeches today, which is what you expect and what happens. But in reality, you guys must be really angry about this and maybe fearful about President Trump?
Of course. I mean, we're going to say all the right things, and you have to go forward. And even Obama is bringing him in on Thursday for a meeting of how the transition is going to work, and Hillary gave her speech today. But of course we're concerned with a guy who said Spanish are rapists, and Russia and Korea, Korea and Japan should have nukes. And Russia should go forward to Syria and his relationships with Russia.
Obama said he was unfit to be president, and now he's going to be showing him around the White House.
Yeah. Nobody really knows what Trump's relationship is with Putin. Trump is the guy who took out of the Republican platform. The one change that he made, Clive, was to take away blame for Russia for invading Ukraine. He took it out of the platform. This guy has deals that we still don't know about. We still don't have his taxes. All the stuff we said is true. But what happened was change and anger trumped, no pun intended, the fact that this guy didn't have the temperament or the qualities to be president. I told you, by 20 points, the exit polls showed that. Unless the Russians hacked the results, and we're going to find out that Florida and Michigan and Wisconsin were actually impacted by Russian hacking.
Well, I don't think we're ready to handle that story. My goodness. Robert, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Robert Weiner there in Washington, former spokesman for Clinton and Bush White Houses. 0345 6060 973. OK, we're going to make lots of room now. If you've been trying to get through, the lines have been very busy, but we would like to hear your view on what has happened. President President-elect Trump. Why did it happen, and where did it go wrong for Hillary Clinton? Did they just choose the wrong candidate? It seems to me, I know it's hindsight, but even during the campaigning, it was really obvious that Hillary was incredibly unpopular. And if they'd chosen somebody else, they would have walked it. 0345 6060 973. Alfred in East Ham. Hello, Alfred.
Hello, Clive.
Hello.
I think it was a protest vote, but I think when people use that, they're almost trying to use it as a kind of mindless hitting out. But I think it's nobody was having the kind of conversation. It's a bit like the Brexit thing. Nobody for years has been having the kind of the conversation that the grassroots people wanted to have about all sorts of things, here, immigration or whatever, and jobs and whatever. So in the end, it's a bit like, you used to have these. The colonial powers pulled out of Africa, and they left some god-awful despot in, because it suited them. They could get all the mineral rights and everything.
Yes.
And he was just give them a sack of money once a year, and it's fine. And then there's an uprising because the people can't take it, and they suddenly say, "God, they're getting arms from Russia. They're getting arms from China." And well, of course they are, because nobody was listening to them before. They'll take the help from where they can get it. So if nobody's having the conversation in America or here, they'll say, we've only got, we've been given one choice or the other.
I agree. I don't think it's brainless. It's not fair to say tens of millions of people didn't think about it and was just brainless. No. Of course not. A protest vote doesn't have to be unthinking. No,
we'll vote for the one who will shake things up the most, because nothing comes from nothing, Clive. If nobody's having a conversation with you, if you shake things up, now everyone's talking about, why did we lose? What happened? Why did we miss this? Same thing has happened after Brexit. Then some people start to say, oh yes, we must think about immigration. Yes, never mentioned it before, and all
yes.
that, and jobs, and so they've got 4 years now for people to start asking them, where did we go wrong? And they're going to tell them. Now it's up to, if they don't listen. Well,
the problem is, does he have any answers? We now have established some of the problems. He talks about creating jobs, solving the inner city's problems, putting up wages. How's he going to do any of that?
Maybe he won't. But that's the thing. Then, but then the next time round, they might have to. The Democrats might have to raise their game. Who knows? Bernie Grant, or maybe he's got some sort of protege. I don't know. Will soften things up a bit and then come back to them, and they'll take something that. I don't know.
Do you think there is?
Unless they just keep shaking things up.
Do you think there is a similar anger here?
Yeah, I think it's different. There are different nuances. Obviously, there's America and Britain. We've got different, similar society, but different in many ways. But I think that's still the case. I think they'll see how Trump goes, and 4 years time. I don't know.
In the run up to this, a lot of people were saying how frightened they were. And they were having nightmares about President Trump. Now it's happened. Are you worried?
No. I think it's something that had to happen. I've got no brief for Trump or Clinton or anyone on the scene. But I think
it needed to happen.
A shake-up needs something. I think sometimes human life progresses by something not very
shaking
nice
things
happening.
Up. No, I think you're right, Alfred. Thank you very much. 0345 6060 973 is the number. More calls coming in a moment. There's a line clear if you'd like to have your say now. 0345 6060 973. LBC, I'm Clive Bull, and it's 9:16. Let's get the travel with Andy Lake.